What do you think is magic about Minot?
There's literally something for everyone.
Checking out a local restaurant.
Baseball.
Walking into a small business and visiting with the shop owner.
I think Minot's community-minded businesses make it magic.
Be thrilled
Rediscover.
Experience.
with the magic in Minot.
How the community rallies around the Minot Air Force Base members and spouses that come to work in the Magic City.
Get involved!
The support.
Be part of the magic in Minot.
We can do anything.
Come and see.
The residents that make Minot magic, and that's what I love about Minot.
Go Minot!
The recreation.
The zoo!
The community.
The magic of discovery.
This community promotes literacy. It is the energy!
You know what makes Minot magic to me? It's our downtown.
I believe Mesa really puts the magic in Minot.
Opportunity.
The culture.
The generosity and the unyielding friendliness.
The way our community comes together.
Be a part of the magic in Minot.
What makes Minot magic to me truly is the generosity and the unyielding friendliness.
Minot Air Force Base members and spouses.
We can do anything.
Come and see. There's nowhere quite like it.
Whew. 2020 has been a year. So I tell you what, let's focus on something positive. How about a Citizen of the Year? This year for the State of the City, we are going to be looking for one individual who has done magic things in Minot. There's a catch though. I want you to submit the application, or rather the provenance that explains why that this individual deserves the Citizen of the Year award for the City of Minot. So I want you to grab a phone or anything else that you can record on and make your submission. Even if you don't know how to run a camera phone or recording device, we can certainly help you out right here in the Minot Public Library with some great people that can even teach you a new skill. But you know what? We're going to make this even a little better. The winner of the Citizen of the Year is going to have a $1,000 donation made in their name to their favorite charity right here in Minot. That is all compliments of First International Bank and Trust here of Minot, and even for doing such a great job of making that submission, the person that is submitting the video is going to be given $100 in chamber bucks, courtesy of North Dakota Farmers Union Insurance. So, how do you get those submissions? Well, we'll show you how.
Order. Today is the 6th of October. This is Planning Commission. Call the roll, please.
Barnett?
Here.
Bauman? Bollinger? Zemeckis?
Yes.
Fakin? Gates? Holcoulter?
Here.
Coop? Leiter? Here. Nestle?
Here.
Offerdahl?
Here.
Sievertson? And Wagenist.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next on the agenda, approval of the September 1st, 2020 meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Offerdahl. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Holcoulter. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Barnett?
Yes.
Bauman? Zemeckis?
Yes.
Gates? Holcoulter?
Yes.
Leiter,
Yes.
Nestle,
Yes.
Offerdahl,
Yes.
and Wagonist.
Yes.
All right.
Very good. Motion carries. Our first order of business tonight is a rezone of Chaparral Subdivision, less lots 1 and 2, Sundre Valley Edition, lots 1 through 15, and outlots 27 and 47 of Section 4, 15582. This is an application by Dave Lakefield on behalf of the city of Minot to rezone the entire subdivision, less lots 1 and 2, Sun Valley Edition, Block 1, lots 1 through 7, and Block 2, lots 1 through 15, and outlots 27 of Section 4, 15582, from M1 Light Industrial and C2 General Commercial to R1 Single Family Residential. Outlot 47 will be rezoned from M1 to RA. These properties are located at 3821, 3901, 3911, 4001, 4111, 4121, 4221, 4301, 4311, 4321, 4401, 4411, 4421, 4501, 4511, 4515, 4601, 4621, 4701, 4801, 4811, 4821, 4901, 4911, 4921, 5001, 5011, 5021, 5101, and 5111 County Road South at 4600 Highway 52, lots 14 through 38. So, we'll turn it over to staff for the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. If you have a difficult time hearing me, let me know. I'm going to try to wear my mask through the hearing. The first case for you this evening is a city-sponsored rezoning of Chaparral Subdivision, Sundre Valley Edition, and 2 outlots located in southeast Minot. Actually, it's out in the 2 mile outside of city limits. These properties are located along the east side of County Road 19. There are 53 total parcels and lots that will be annexed. We'll move on to the next map. The lots that are going to be rezoned are highlighted here in this map in yellow. They're in the jurisdiction of the city, even though they're not in city limits. The pink line that circles the properties to be rezoned is the 300-foot notification boundary. Those are all the property owners that received notification of this public hearing. Since this is a city-sponsored rezoning, we also sent notification to all the property owners whose properties will be rezoned or is at least proposed to be rezoned in this case. The red line at the south end of the map is our 2 mile boundary. So the 2 mile actually goes through some of the lots. So we just presume we take jurisdiction of the lots that red line runs through. There are 2 lots in the far lower right corner that are highlighted in orange. Those lots are in the jurisdiction of Ward County, and it's my understanding that Ward County has filed a case to have these 2 properties rezoned because they are zoned M1 in Ward County as well. So they're following our lead, and they're going to have these properties rezoned in the near future. This is the original zoning map from 1962 that was adopted by Ward County. It's of Sundre Township, and the properties that are considered in this matter are basically between the 2 black lines. The one on the east side, I believe, is Highway 52. The one on the west side should be County Road 19. So if you see all the properties between those 2 black lines and the red circle, it's all zoned M1, which is light industrial. All the properties on the west side of County Road 19 are zoned R1 single-family residential. So that's how the zoning was established back in the early 60s. To give you a timeline of the events that took place here, I went too far. Oh, no, I did not. Okay. On the left-hand side, Chaparral Subdivision was platted in 1971, and soon after its platting, the homes there were built. We have no records, and the county has no records of this property ever being rezoned to residential, which is kind of odd. And then the property on the right-hand side is Sundre Valley Edition. So all the properties on the east side of County Road 19 have M1 zoning as well. The properties on the west side of the road have RA zoning right now. So the properties on the southwest side of the road are conforming to our zoning, and the properties on the northeast side of the road are not conforming. Basically, properties are not conforming. If they were to burn down in a fire, they cannot be rebuilt. So it leaves these property owners who are on the east side of the road in a perilous situation. There are 2 outlots that are included in this rezone. The one on the left was platted in 2011. It has about 2.15 acres of land, and therefore it is, actually this is the one lot that's going to be rezoned to RA. We received a phone call from the property owner last week, and it was her wishes that the property be rezoned to RA, so that way she wouldn't have to meet some of the standards of R1, which limit the number of buildings you can put on a property in the area that could be developed. So we took a look at it. It made sense to us. We're going to recommend rezoning this to RA. The rest of these properties will go to R1. On the right-hand side, there's a second outlot parcel that was platted in 1979. It's about 1 acre in size, and it's going to go to R1. So here's outlot 47. And it exceeds the minimum lot size requirement of 2 acres, which is the minimum lot size requirement in the RA district, which is why it's going to go to RA zoning. This is our current zoning map. The properties that will be rezoned are highlighted in the blue, around the blue line. The 7 parcels in the northwest corner are currently zoned C2, General Commercial District, and the properties that you'll see in purple are all M1, and those are all the properties with the exception of that one lot right in the middle, the large one, that's going to go to RA, the rest will go to R1. This is our future land use map. As you can see, the future land use map doesn't reach down to this area. That's how far away this property is from our city limits right now. In the upper left corner of the map, you see that light yellow. It's that area is planned for very low residential development. So we don't have any guidance from our comprehensive plan at this time. The good news is I received approval in my budget for next year to start a new comprehensive plan. So we're going to fix these issues next year and get these areas in our, that are not in our comprehensive plan map onto our map. When we look at our map, it doesn't give us any guidance as to where we go. We've had this problem before in the past, as you probably recall. We've had a couple of other cases like this before, so I'm glad that we're going to be fixing this problem next year, and we won't have to deal with this anymore in the near future. So we'll move forward into the findings of fact. And the applicant has submitted a complete application, and that the comprehensive plan does not adequately address the area and must be updated in the future. So again, the comp plan doesn't give us guidance in this matter. The request meets all the bulk requirements of our zoning ordinance, so the lot sizes, setbacks, everything like that. Number 4, an access easement provides access through the property to adjacent land to the east. And that number 5 is the Planning Commission, of course, has the authority to hear this case and recommend that it be approved or denied. Again, the Planning Commission will not be making a decision on this matter tonight. They're going to be making a recommendation. The public notice requirements were met. We notified all the property owners within 300 feet of the site, including the property owners who will be rezoned as well. Everyone has been notified in this matter. The hearing was legally noticed and posted, and the hearing was held and conducted under the requirements of the Century Code and our city ordinance. And so this matter is pretty easy. Since there's no development taking place, there's really no conditions. So we're recommending approval from the seat to rezone from M1 and C2 to R1 and RA. Before I open this to questions, I want to make it clear to everyone that we're not here tonight to try to annex property or try to create a path for annexation. At this point, these properties are more than a mile away from city limits, and therefore we can't even annex them at this time. The closest property to both of these subdivisions is the Minot Country Club, which is about 1.25 miles away. So we're not here tonight to try to annex people. We're not here tonight to force people to hook up to sewer. we're just here tonight to fix a zoning problem that a property owner brought to our attention, and that she's having a difficult time getting refinancing on her home. And she came to our office back in, I think, late July or early August, and explained her plight. And then I brought this to as the acting city manager's attention and asked them, rather than just make her pay for one case and have her come before you and try to present a spot zoning proposal to you where only one property would be rezoned to residential, I told the city manager I thought it'd be in the best interest of the city just to rezone both of these subdivisions and both outlots to residential and have the city sponsor it and have the city pay for it. I'd rather deal with one public hearing in one case rather than 53 different cases. And I think the commission and the council would probably feel that way as well. So I just want to make those things clear, and I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Brian. Is there any questions for staff from the commission? All right, seeing none, I'll open the public hearing, and before we start that process, I'd just like to remind everybody, if you do wish to speak, please introduce yourself, sign in, and give us your name and address as well for the record. So is there anybody who wishes to speak on behalf of the application in support? Is there anybody who wishes to speak against the application? Go ahead, sir. Come on up. Can you, I'm sorry, please, can you come forward, sign in, introduce yourself?
Can you turn your mic on, please?
Off.
Push the button on the bottom there.
There you go.
Down there, see, don't do this very often, so. I just like clarification. I'm not opposed or for this proposition, but I wanted some clarification. And I emailed you some questions today. Did you get them?
Yes, we did.
May I read them, or do you want to read them, or?
If you were to read them, that'd be nice, yes.
Okay.
I received an email from a Marilyn Bishke.
Actually, that's me, and there's no I in that name.
Okay.
Marlin.
Marlin, okay.
The first question I have, is there a plan in the CDP, which is the comprehensive plan, to annex the aforementioned rezoning area into the Minot city limits? Let me read what I wrote prior to that so I can give you. I have a map of the 1962 Sundre Township zoning map, which we saw, provided to me by the city planner. On the back side of that map is some background information about the proposed zoning area. Near the bottom of that information, reference is made to a comprehensive development plan and city plans to address a gap in the future land use map of said plan. So the question number one was, is there a plan in the CDP to annex the aforementioned rezoning areas into the Minot city limits? And I believe you answered that already. That is not part of the plan. Is part of the motivation for this rezoning beyond what is mentioned in the information we received, for example, to force the residents to connect to the Minot city sewer system either through the existing line installed by and owned by Paul Zaharia, or a new line that could be constructed on an easement southeast of the existing sewer line in Talon Point, which is a new development that's adjacent to what we're talking about. It's closer to town. It's a development that the City Planning Commission in 2012 approved for 48 houses, and 3 were actually built, and I believe the developer left town. So what we have is 45 sewer pipes sticking up in the air and 3 houses. The third question is, what are the requirements for an area such as the proposed rezoning area to actually be annexed into the city of Minot?
Can you speak on these,
Yes,
Brian?
yeah, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Bishke, the requirements are that it has to be adjacent to city limits for us to annex it.
Okay.
And as I stated during my testimony, this property is more than a mile away from city limits right now, and it's practically impossible for us to annex all the way out. We have no plans to annex out there.
Okay. And then, I think this is answered already too, is the Talon Point addition inside the Minot city limits?
No, it is not.
That's zoned R1 though, is that correct?
I don't know what it is zoned, but
Okay.
it's not in city limits.
Okay. I say that I may have additional questions at the planning commission meeting this evening, but I don't, so thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who wishes to speak? Please come forward. Please give us your name if you would.
Sure, no problem. Good evening, everybody. I'm Tom Mickelson. I live in 4511 County Road 19 South. I'm not opposed to this at all. I think it's okay to zone to residential. My question being is this going to have any effect on property tax or anything like that? It's kind of a simple question.
Thank you. Can you speak on that at all, Brian?
Mr. Chairman, I can talk to the city assessor. I don't believe it would, but let me talk to the city assessor, and I'll have an answer for you before the city council meeting.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you, sir. Yes, please, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I failed to identify myself the first time. Marlon Bishke at 4401 County Road 19. I talked to the equalization office over there, and they said, and they'll probably confirm this, that the property is taxed based on usage, not zoning. So if you're living in a house there now, they're charging you for a house there now, and it shouldn't have any bearing on that. So
Mr.
that's
Chairman.
just what, that's,
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, since this property's on the 2 mile, I believe the assessments are done by Ward County. Is that correct? I don't believe the city handles assessments.
no, I don't believe they do.
So actually, that question, you have to go to the county assessor for that,
Okay,
to ask that question.
okay.
Okay.
Very well. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak on this application? Please come forward.
My name's Helen Otto, and I already talked to the county, and they said that our taxes are through the county, and the city doesn't have anything to do with how they tax us. So the city can't charge us more. So you don't have a pen up here to sign in your sheet.
Sorry about that.
There was.
Here's a. Okay.
Anybody else wish to speak on this application, for or against? All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing and turn it over to the commissioners.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wagness to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Offerdahl. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, we will call the roll.
All right. Barnett,
Yes.
Bauman,
Yes.
Demekis,
Yes.
Gates,
Yes.
Hochhalter,
Yes.
Leiter,
Yes.
Nestle,
Yes.
Offerdahl,
Yes.
and Wagonist.
Yes.
All right. Motion carries. The next item up for discussion is Subdivision, Ramstead Heights 10th Edition, lots 1 and 2. This is a request on application by Matt Gregoire, owner, to consolidate the following properties from Ramstead 2nd Edition. Lot 4, Ramstead Heights 3rd Edition, Lot 6, and a vacated portion of Kodiak Street, to be known as Ramstead Heights 10th Edition, lots 1 and 2. These properties are located at 3421 15th Street Northwest and 1421 35th Avenue Northwest. This is an area of town we're very familiar with. We'll turn it over to staff for a report. Sorry.
Hello. So starting off with the vicinity map. So these properties are all in the corners of 35th Avenue Northwest, Kodiak Street Northwest, and 15th Street Northwest. Let's see. This is an aerial view from earlier this year during the spring. So it's showing there's actually some more development out there, and you can see that there are 2 single-family homes, 1 each property. Moving on to the zoning map, both properties are currently zoned R1S, so it's single-family residential district with a small lot flexibility. So with the addition of the 10 feet that they want to go and add on to their properties, staff feels that this is a perfectly good zoning for the properties themselves, and we aren't seeking to have it changed or anything. Going on to the future land use map. So all these properties are currently shown on our future land use map of the comprehensive plan as medium density residential. Now, so that's all based on the density of the area, and since that's not changing, the properties are just gaining additional 10 feet on their east sides. That is, so their subdivision is in line with our comprehensive plan. Now, looking at the preliminary plats from it, the red line on the plat that I put on there, that is where the property boundary used to be. So that is 10 feet to the west of where it's being shown on there now. And that's that for the subdivision. Now, looking at the findings of fact, the applicant submitted the complete application. Per staff's analysis, we found it was consistent with the comprehensive plan, meets all the bulk requirements of Minot zoning ordinance, and the planning commission has the authority to hear the case and recommend approval, and if, to recommend approval or denial, and all the public hearing requirements have been met, which for a subdivision, there really aren't any beyond just the normal notices in the paper and everything with that. Now, for staff recommendation and conditions, staff recommends the planning commission adopt the staff findings of fact, recommend approval of the preliminary plat application subject to the following conditions to the city council. It's the normal, no later than 6 months after the subdivision design has been approved, that it needs to be recorded and signed off on by the city engineer and the surveyor and everything, and sent over to the county to actually record. And so that's it with this case then. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions from the commission for staff? All right, seeing none, we'll
This is
open
Commissioner
the public hearing. Is there anybody who wishes?
Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead, Todd.
I'm actually wondering, Mr. Baumgartner, can you, I'm having some difficulty just kind of understanding the difference between the version 1 and then version 2 that we would approve. Is it basically that their lot size is expanding 10 feet to the east and is taking over the sidewalk and kind of goes right up to the road then?
Yeah, sorry about that, Tim. With that, I forgot to explain that. It was that, so initially there was a vacated portion of the street that's there currently. That was supposed to be for a dedicated walking path. That idea was abandoned, and so that's been left there. This is actually following suit with Ramstad's 5th edition, which also had the 10-foot that the vacated streets and public right-of-way they brought in. So that's what's going on there. So they're just adding additional 10 feet to the property. That's all they're really doing with it.
Okay, cool. And are we losing the sidewalk or the walking path by doing so?
So if I go back to the aerial that I have, that's actually where I'm showing that boundary now is where it's going to be going. So while the walking path itself has been abandoned, the sidewalk is still in. That's within the public right-of-way yet.
Okay, cool. Thank you for the clarification. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry I missed you there on the phone. I forgot. We got a little bit of delay sometimes on that. Anybody else that has questions for staff? All right, so we will open the public hearing now. Is there anybody who wishes to speak on behalf of the application? Anybody who wishes to speak against the application? Anybody who would like to say anything in regards to the application? All right, we'll close the public hearing, turn it over to the commission.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wagner to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Leiter. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, call the roll.
Barnett,
Yes.
Bauman,
Yes.
Demakis,
Yes.
Gates,
Yes.
Burkhalter,
Yes.
Leiter,
Yes.
Nestal,
Yes.
Offerdahl,
Yes.
and Wagonist.
Yes.
All right.
Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is rezoning, comprehensive plan amendment, and a conditional use permit. Request by Schatz Properties LLC to rezone a portion of the property described as Outlot 19, less lots A, B, and C, Section 29, 155 North, Range 82 West, and the Feist SD of Pro Gold Nugget Edition, Block 2, less the east 197.45 feet, plus vacated 13th and all of vacated 15th Avenue Southeast from MH Manufactured Home to M1 Light Industrial, and to amend the future land use map and the city comprehensive plan from medium duty residential to industrial, and to create a new 24-lot subdivision from the above described properties to be known as Southeast Ridge Business Park Second Edition, lots 1 through 24. The applicant is also seeking a conditional use permit to place bulk propane storage tanks on the lots that will be zoned M1. They're going to be located at the approximate intersection of 35th Street and 13th Avenue Southeast, extending south. We'll turn it over to staff for the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This case, as you mentioned, but it has several features to it. We're amending the future land use map, the conditional use map. We're approving a conditional use permit and recommending approval of a subdivision plat and a rezone. This property is also located in southeast Minot. It's south of 11th Avenue Southeast and north of the river. The total acreage of this property is 15 acres. The site is currently, as you can see by the aerial photograph, it's currently undeveloped. And the purple line that's surrounding the area that's part of the rezone in the plat and the conditional use permit is shown in the purple line. So those were the properties that were notified of the public hearing. The site is in city limits. It's currently zoned M1, Manufactured Housing District. To the east, it's zoned, it's zoned MH now. It's currently zoned MH, Manufactured Housing District. M1 is to the east, and that's light industrial. To the west and across the river is agriculture, and also C2 to the west, which is commercial. And to the north, we also have MH zoning, and MH land uses are to the north as well. So the future land use map gives us a recommendation of medium density residential in this area. Also has the conceptual greenway overlay that is to the far south end. The far southern end of this property is mostly undevelopable. The terrain is not very favorable for development. It's right along the edge of the river. For the floodplain in this area, mostly it falls within the conceptual greenway overlay. There is very little floodplain to the northeast, which makes most of this property developable except for the far southern edge. Here's the preliminary plat. There are 24 lots in this subdivision. There are 16 lots on the northern end that will be will retain its MH zoning. There will be 8 lots on the southern end that are proposed to be rezoned to M1 light industrial. The conditional use permit for the propane storage tanks will be in lot number 24, which is away from the subdivision. And then again, lot number 1, that is the mostly undevelopable tract of land that is in lot number 1. Here's the site plan. Everything shown in green will be zoned manufactured home, and each lot will have one manufactured home placed on it. The property shown in orange, there are 7 lots to the north of lot number 24. They will have shop condos, or proposed to have shop condos on them. And then to the south, that lot number 24, that large lot to the south, that is where the propane storage tanks will be located. you'll see on the site plan between the manufactured home district and the M1 proposed district, there is a landscape buffer there that will separate the two uses and provide some separation between the residential use and the industrial use. Here's a plan for the tank location. So I worked this out with the applicant's representative a couple of weeks ago. He provided this site plan to me. I sat down with the city's fire marshal, who is not here tonight, but Robbie Brown, our fire inspector, is here tonight to answer any questions that you may have. We probably had at least a half a dozen phone calls with the applicant's representative and worked out the details to make sure this meets the 2018 fire code, International Fire Code. And the separation of the tanks will meet the fire code as you see here. It's not, my understanding is it's not the applicant's plan to build large tanks on there immediately. This is a long-term plan from what I understand. They're probably going to start with smaller 30,000 gallon tanks, but the conditional use permit will limit them to 270,000 gallons total, 390,000 gallon tanks. But I think in the beginning phase, they're going to start smaller, and then as their business begins to build, they'll probably add more capacity, but they will be limited to 270,000 gallons. So let's move forward to the findings of fact. The applicant has submitted a complete application, and the proposed uses are conditionally permitted by the terms of the ordinance. The applicant's request is consistent with our plans and their proposed amendments. The request meets all the bulk requirements of Minot's zoning ordinance, and the rezoning request is in character with the surrounding zoning and uses of land. And the Planning Commission, of course, has the authority to hear this case and recommend that it be approved or denied. Again, the City Council will make the final decision on this matter. The public notice requirements were met. The hearing was legally noticed and posted, and was held and conducted under the requirements of the Century Code and city ordinances. So here's our staff recommendations and conditions. We're recommending approval of the comprehensive plan map amendment, the conditional use permit, the subdivision plat, and the zone change. And the conditions are as follows. The first 7 conditions are recommended by the engineering department. Our city engineer Lance Myers here tonight if you have questions. Number 1, a stormwater management plan is required for development. Number 2, a traffic impact study is required for future development. Number 3, connection fees are required for future development. Number 4, roads and utilities will be private and require easements. Number 5, a 30-foot wide easement is required over the entire length of the existing sanitary sewer force main. Number 6, a developer's agreement is required prior to the recording of the plat. Number 7, an owner's association is required prior to the recording of the plat. Condition number 8 deals with the subdivision plat. This is the standard language we approve for all subdivision plats that basically provides guidance for how it's to be approved and then recorded. And I'm not going to read it word for word verbatim. This is standard language we approve with all plats. Number 9 is regarding the conditional use permit. This is also standard language, comes directly from city code. That gives the property owner 1 year to at least have substantially started the project. If not, they can come back to the Planning Commission and recommend a time extension if they haven't started their project. Basically, this comes directly out of city code. And it basically tells the applicant, if we're going to approve this, you need to start getting to work on this really soon. Don't come in 10 years later and ask to get this project started. So, number 10. Again, this is also standard language for conditional use permits, and how they're to be administered, and how they're to follow the city code, all city standards. Again, boilerplate language here. Number 11 basically states that if there's any change of ownership, that will require renewal of the conditional use permit. So if the property ever changes ownership, the new owner needs to come in and get a new conditional use permit. And then number 12 is liquid propane storage tanks are conditionally permitted on lot number 24. This was taken directly from the fire marshal. I worked this out with the applicant a couple of weeks ago. The tanks shall have a maximum combined capacity of 270,000 gallons. And the tanks shall meet all setback requirements from all buildings, public ways, and lot lines of adjoining property that can be built upon to a distance that is required in section 6104.4 and table 6104.3 of the 2018 International Fire Code. And increasing the maximum capacity of the storage tanks in this lot beyond 270,000 gallons shall require a new conditional use permit. And then under number 13, there's another requirement from the fire code that if they're going to park any LP gas tank vehicles on the property that are left unattended at any time, they cannot be placed anywhere within 500 feet of a residence. That comes directly out of the International Fire Code. And speaking to the applicant, they're going to have to park those vehicles at the far southern end of that property to be able to meet this requirement. So basically, we're limiting them to parking those vehicles as far away from the residential properties as possible, and they'll have to meet that requirement. So that is my presentation on the staff report, and I'm available for your questions.
Thank you. Any questions for staff?
This is Commissioner Bauman. I do have one for Mr. Billingsley.
Go ahead.
Mr. Billingsley, I'm wondering if you can just tell me a little bit about, I guess one concern that I have with this particular project is access/traffic moving through the residential areas that are kind of strictly residential right now as a shortcut into the industrial park. Are there any safeguards or things that would stop either through traffic, just cars moving, like if someone's going to work in the industrial park, or industrial vehicles moving through that manufactured home MH neighborhood to get to the propane site or into the industrial park period?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Bauman, technically there are no safeguards other than they cannot park those vehicles unattended on the streets or on property within 500 feet. So the only safeguard we have is that they cannot park any of those tanker vehicles on the public street or within 500 feet of the property unless they're attended by an employee.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Any further questions for staff? All right, very well. Hearing none, we will open the public hearing. Is there anybody who wishes to speak on behalf of this application? Is there anybody who wishes to speak against the application? Anybody who wishes to speak? Okay. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and turn it over to the commission.
Motion to approve based on staff finding of fact, recommendations, and conditions.
Motion by Commissioner Wagnus to approve based on staff findings, facts, recommendations, and conditions. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Barnett. Any discussion?
This is Commissioner Bauman again. I'm just going to voice my concerns about this. Obviously, the traffic stuff that I spoke with Mr. Billingsley about, I have some concerns about, but I also have some secondary concerns about the location of those propane tanks. That goes to residential neighborhoods and people living in their homes / kids. And then also just the proximity to the river and the conceptual greenway, which hopefully will be a really cool part of our community in the near future. So I think I'm going to go with my gut on this one. I am personally not in support of the project, but I'm just kind of voicing those concerns just for people to hear.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Okay, we'll call the roll.
Barnett,
Yes.
Bauman,
No.
Dominguez?
Yes.
Gates?
It's a no.
Okay. Polkulter?
Yes.
Leiter?
Yes.
Nestle?
Yes.
Offerdahl?
Yes.
And Wagonist?
Yes.
All right. So the yeses have it.
Very well, motion carries. The last thing on the agenda is, first of all, the November meeting is moved to November 4th. There will not be a meeting on election night. So remember, we're on the 4th. And then the other matter for discussion is the meeting schedule. And I will turn that over to Brian for a quick little roll down on this.
Thank you, Derek. So I emailed this to the commissioners last week. We have 6 possible options for meeting dates in 2021. We can meet the first Tuesday like we are right now. The only issue with the first Tuesday is in July and in September, we're going to have to meet on the first Wednesday because there are holidays on the first Monday, which will push back the city council meeting to that Tuesday night. So in July, we'd have to meet on Wednesday the 7th, and in September, we'll have to meet on, actually, that should read the 1st. Well, no,
That's Labor Day.
that's a weird month, yeah. I mean, we can meet on the 1st or the 8th in September, it doesn't matter to me. But, and then option number 2 would be the first Wednesday of the month. Option 3 is the first Thursday. And then the other 3 options are meeting the 3rd week of the month. The reason we want to meet on the 1st or 3rd week of the month is it gives staff time to be able to prepare all the ordinances and resolutions, everything we need to prepare to send to the city council, and the minutes of the meetings, recommendations, gives us time to get that prepared to put it on the next available council agenda. So I'd like to keep our meetings on either the 1st or the 3rd week of the month. So my question for the commissioners is, do we still want to stay on the first Tuesday, or do we want to move it to another evening?
All right. Just real quick, my thoughts are either Tuesday's fine with me. I don't have a problem with that. I think Wednesdays, we got a lot going on for those of us that are parents. And I know a few of us are lake folks, and Thursday's getaway day. So from my perspective, Tuesdays are the best day. I don't really care for my chair which one.
Okay.
Rest of whatever you guys, the rest of your thoughts are, please share them.
I agree. Tuesdays work best for me.
Yeah. Sure. So.
I see a lot of heads nodding.
This is Commissioner Bauman. Tuesday works best for me too.
Okay.
Thank you.
So.
Commissioner Gates, Alicia, this Tuesday works best for me.
So the question is, in September, do we want to meet on the 1st or of September, or the following, the day after city council on the 8th? Is there
a preference from your chair?
No, there's no preference.
Keep it the same.
The 8th?
Let's just go with the 8th. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the day after the city council, that seems to work. That gives you guys enough time.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Just my thoughts.
Okay. Thank you.
Very good. All right. There being no further business then, we are adjourned. Thank you all for coming.